Hi everyone, let's look at my low time frame and micro scenarios and let me know what you think is most likely. The bullish low time frame Elliott Wave scenario on Bitcoin at the moment is that this over here is a wave 1, 2, then this will being a wave 3, some sort of a corrective pattern in a wave 4 and then a wave 5 to the upside. Now in this particular scenario, inside this wave 3 had a 5-wave structure ending right at the 1.618, which is a minimum target for an extended wave 3. So from the end of this wave 3, we then have this as a 3-wave structure. Then this has to be some sort of a 3-wave structure as well. And I will show you on the micro that it is actually very difficult to count this structure as it is not a clear impulse as well. And then we have some sort of a 3-wave structure to the downside, which could already be finished for eventually more upside, or we go to the downside a little bit further and it will be extended. Now if we go to the CVD, actually after my video last night, that is when I noticed this, we eventually as price created some divergences. So price fell to the downside, but if we look at the yellow line, we can see price made a higher low but a lower low on the CVD. That is a bullish divergence where the first target usually is going to be the highs. Now, of course, more locally, it's more important what happens. So if we are eventually going to see bearish divergences on the 5-minute more locally, those are more important than the bullish ones, let's say on the 30-minute. But at the moment, as it stands now, there is no bearish divergences. Instead, actually looking very locally, there's bullish divergences here as well on the 5-minute, price making a higher high. But as you can see, the yellow line making a lower high as it stands at the moment. So that is definitely something to take into account. So potentially some form of a 3-wave correction over here is already finished, but also this structure to the downside is not that clear. If we then go to this second scenario, to the bullish side, we are looking at this to be a wave 1, 2, then wave 3 is over here. And this is only the beginning of a wave 4 correction. So then we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave structure in wave 3. This is the beginning of a wave 4, which is then either a wave A or a W, because this doesn't look like an impulse anymore to the downside. So with a wave A, I then mean a 3-wave structure followed by a 3-wave structure and then a 5-wave structure to create some sort of a flat, where the expanded flat is most common, where this is then an A, B, C, where wave B is taking the highs of the origin of wave A. This is also a very common correction in a wave 4, so this is definitely something to take into account. And a WXY correction is more like a 3-3-3 sideways complex correction, where you usually get some sort of a channel to the downside. Of course, it is weekend as well, so maybe some sort of a range might be interesting to see. But then in this particular scenario, wave 4 is only at the very beginning, and we eventually, just like the other scenario, expect more upside to come. If we then go to the more bearish scenario, this becomes a lot less likely. So this then being the high of some wave 5 and eventually creating more downside. But yesterday, yeah, it still looked like this could be an impulsive structure, because I uploaded my video right at the lows over here when price was down here after a impulsive move to the downside, and one could have counted this at that moment in time as a 1, 2, 1, 2 and then a big 3 to the downside, maybe a 4, 5, 4, 5, right? But then we got this move to the upside, and I actually updated the Discord group together with John there as well, another full-time trader there, where we were talking about this move to the upside. And eventually when price crossed above the target box, that is when this impulsive structure for me was invalidated, and we have to look at different things, right? So yeah, very interesting price action on the low time frame. I don't look at this anymore as an impulsive structure to the downside. So for me, this very bearish scenario is kind of invalidated at the moment, and we definitely need a little bit more price action to see if there is other more bearish scenarios, because as it stands now, looking at this move to the upside and this move to the downside, it's not per se looking to be very bearish. Yeah, of course, price can go down, take some lows and stuff, but only if over here we are going to take the lows of this range at about 29k. That is when I would be looking for more lower targets for sure. And then one of the target boxes that I have on the chart all the way down here is at 28.2k to 27.8k with a couple of volume levels and also a golden pocket there. So yeah, that is quite a deep dive, of course. So let's see what happens on the low time frame. And if we then go to the micro, that is when you're going to see that this is not that easy to count, right? So over here I wrote 3-wave structure, which has to do with this structure over here. Let's actually start on the 15. So we have this move to the upside, and this move to the upside is actually quite difficult to count a 5-wave structure in here. So I had a count where this was a 3, 4, and then a 5 to the upside, right? But if this is a wave 5 to the upside, it means that one needs to be able to count 5 waves in this whole structure. But that is actually very difficult, and I kind of had to force it in order to get some sort of a 5-wave structure in here. Also, volume-wise, the biggest amount of volume over here, you can see the high volume in the indicator below. That is then in a wave at the end of this wave 5, which is also rare because usually this type of volume would occur in a wave 3. So then this is a wave 3, 4, 5, expecting another 4 and then a 5 to the upside. So then you get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is then eventually what you have to look for because of this volume pattern over here. Also, if you want to count this whole thing in a 5-wave structure, you can have this as a 1, 2. But then this structure over here is very overlapping as well, and it's not easy to count 3 waves because you could be like 1, 2, and then eventually 3, 4, 5. But then the problem here is that if this over here is then a 3rd wave, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside of that. However, wave 3 over here now is the shortest wave. This wave over here is shorter than wave 1 and wave 5, which invalidates this to be an impulse. So this structure over here cannot be an impulse. So you see how, like, based on theory, things are coming together. However, it's not easy to know what is going on the micro time frames because of the overlap that we had. So that is why I wrote down 3-wave structure. Now, a potential 5-wave structure is this being a 1, 2, then you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where 3 now is not the shortest wave to the upside, and this is then a wave 5 in this 3rd wave. Then we have a corrective 4, and then eventually a corrective 5. So that is possible. We do have inside this wave 3 the most amount of volume in this wave 5 or 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this wave 5 has the most amount of volume. Okay, you know, possible. Usually it's actually this wave 3 with the most amount of volume, but in this particular count, this could work, and then we have a 4 or 5. But then, of course, you see that this is a corrective structure to the downside. And if this is then a corrective structure to the downside, this then also has to be a corrective structure, right? So then we have, and you can see the fibs taken, the 1.236 and the 1.618 pulled from the high of 5 to then the low over here. For potentially an expanding flat, for example, you have then a 3, you want to see a 3, and then eventually a 5 to the downside if this could be an expanding flat. However, it just doesn't look nice as well, right? Candles closing above the 1.618. The 1.618 is already a rare target for an expanding flat. Let me put on the expanding flat fib so you can actually see. So over here, you can see that price already closed above the 1.618, which already is a rare target for an expanding flat. And then you would expect an impulsive wave C to the downside. But this is not a 5-wave structure anymore. This looks to be more like some 3-wave structure, or yeah, you know, that is also Elliott Wave sometimes is being patient and let price do its thing, especially if price is not that clear at the moment. So yeah, that's why I wrote 3-wave structure. But then if this is a 3-wave structure, then it has to be most likely connected to this structure over here, creating a 3-wave here, some sort of a 3-wave here, and then another 3-wave to the downside, where most likely price is going to take the low over here, one would say. However, it's also possible price already ended in maybe a WXY or a running flat or whatever it is, of course, for then eventually more upside. We still have bullish divergences as well, of course, between the lows over here and the low over here. So that is definitely something to at least take into account. And if we then go to the 5-minute time frame over here, which at least is a little bit clearer to count. Usually I don't really go to the 5-minute, but because over here this stuff is so annoying to count, I actually went down to the 5. Where this can be an A, 3 waves in B, and then eventually a wave C to the upside in a 5-wave structure over here, hitting the most common target area for a wave C, which is perfectly fine. Having a 3-wave to the downside, some sort of a 3-wave to the upside then in this wave B for then a C to the downside. So an expanding flat A, B, C, where C is ending nicely in the most common target area for a wave C, also below the low of wave A, which is important, and wave B hitting the target area for an expanding flat B perfectly. So that actually works quite nicely. And if this is a 3-wave move up, then a 3-wave move down, you would now expect another move to the upside to at least take the high of this wave B. And then the question is, how high will it go, right? So if we then have pull a little bit of a range here, and you can see that we do have the point of control of that range. And if I quickly pull some fibs, you can also see that the 1-to-1 over here, of this being a first wave, second wave, and maybe a third wave to the upside, the 1-to-1 has confluence with the value area high of this range, as well as the point of control, which also is, by the way, a naked point of control at this level of about 30.8, 30.9k. So this is definitely an interesting area for maybe this then being a 3-wave structure, before then again some more downside to come. Or what we can also get on the lower time frames is that this is only the first structure, then we have a second structure, and then you get another structure to the upside. So as you can see, and that is also Elliott Waves, guys. Sometimes the counts are not clear. Sometimes the clarity on the chart is not there, and you have to be patient. And you know, we have different scenarios, different thoughts. I'm trying to share as much as I can. But as you can see, things are a little bit like less clear, so just enjoy the weekend. Go outside, touch the grass, which is a joke in the gaming industry, which I'm from. So yeah, just enjoy your weekend, and eventually, of course, you know, I will provide an update at 1 p.m. today as well, and we'll see what price has done right in the upcoming hours. And yeah, we got to be patient before we have a certain sense of direction. So yeah, this is basically what I wanted to say. I hope this video was helpful, or at least valuable to you. I'd like to thank you for watching and subscribing. And of course, I will see you at the next one. Bye bye.